Shadow, the loyal avenger. Part 1. The ashes of innocence. The fire consumed everything. What was once a home filled with laughter and love had become a grave of blackened wood and broken dreams. Smoke spiraled into the cold night sky as flames devoured the modest stone cottage nestled deep in the northern hills of Pakistan. Inside that inferno, a family had lived. Baba Hameed, a humble shepherd with silver in his beard and warmth in his heart, had built that home with his bare hands. It was the cradle of his lineage. His son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandchildren all lived under its roof. But tonight, all of them were gone. Burned, slaughtered, and Baba, beaten and left for dead, crawled out of the rubble as the last embers died. His cries were silent. His soul was ashes. All he had left was a bleeding heart and a dog. Shadow, a large, golden-coated shepherd mixed with eyes that seemed to hold the weight of lifetimes. Shadow had been his grandson's companion, protector, and friend. And now, he was the only living witness to the carnage. The attackers were not strangers. They were gangsters, Rehan Seth's men. They came with forged documents, claiming Baba's land. When he refused, they returned with fire, bullets, and madness. They took everything, almost, because in the shadows of that burning night, a vow was made. Shadow did not whimper. He did not run. He stayed by Baba's side as the old man wept into the dirt. And in that silence, a bond was born, not just of loyalty, but of vengeance. The dog had seen their faces. He remembered their scents, and he would not forget. Because they had made one mistake. They had left the dog alive. Part 2. The first hunt begins. After the fire, Baba Hameed wandered into the hills, empty-handed, empty-hearted. He carried only memories and a cracked photo frame showing the smiling faces of his lost family. Shadow stayed by his side through every step. Days passed without food, nights without sleep, but they didn't stop moving. Finally, they reached an old hut deep in the forest. A friend had once lived there, a shepherd, now long gone. Baba collapsed on the floor. Shadow curled beside him, and as the wind howled outside, the old man whispered the names of the men who had taken everything. The first, Rafiq, Chala, the scarred man who had poured petrol on the house and laughed as it burned. Baba didn't have weapons, but he had Shadow, and Shadow remembered. He left silently that night, slipping into the darkness without a sound. He was no longer a pet. He was a storm, and the first strike was coming. Part 3. The first target. Rafiq had grown cocky, opening a garage in the city, bragging about his new wealth. He had no idea that something was stalking him. Not a man, not a rival gang, but a force of memory and fury. Shadow observed him for days. His timing, his routines, his guards. Then, one night, under the cover of silence, he struck. Rafiq stepped into the alley for a smoke, laughing to himself. He heard a low growl. And then, eyes. Golden, burning, familiar. Before he could scream, Shadow lunged. There was no mercy, no hesitation. Rafiq fell, clawed and torn, blood soaking the earth. As his life drained, his last words stuttered. "You're that dog, from the fire." Shadow vanished before the sirens arrived. By morning, newspapers screamed. Gang member mauled by unknown animal. But Rehan Seth knew. He stared at the headline and whispered, "That was no animal. That was him." Part 4. The Blood Debt. The next name. Sajid Wada. The man who had shot Baba's son. The man who laughed while looting the home. He now ran a warehouse full of stolen furniture, including pieces from Baba's old home. Shadow returned to the city, waited in shadows. Studied Sajid's behavior. One night, Sajid entered the warehouse alone. Shadow was already inside. The attack was brutal, precise, and silent. When it was over, Shadow dragged a bloodied photo frame from the debris, the same one that once sat in Baba's house. He brought it back, laying it gently in Baba's lap. The old man trembled. "My family," he whispered. Shadow curled beside him. There were still names on the list. Part 5. The man with the red ring. Kareem Lal Anguthi was next. He was the one who shot a child during the massacre, the one who laughed while lighting the prayer mats on fire. He wore a blood-red ruby ring, a symbol of his cruelty. Shadow found him in a meat market on the river docks. He waited for days, then struck during a rainy night when Kareem was alone. There was a fierce struggle, but Shadow was faster, stronger, and fueled by pain. Kareem fell in his trailer, blood spilling over the very table where he kept his ring. Shadow didn't just kill him, he took the ring. He brought it back and laid it at Baba's feet. The red jewel sparkled in the lantern light. Baba stared. "3 down," he said. Shadow's eyes gleamed. Part 6. The judge in Rehan's pocket. Judge Nasir had dismissed the case when Baba begged for justice. He'd smiled politely, signed the rejection, and sent Baba home to bury his dead. He lived now in comfort, in a walled estate, surrounded by guards and silence. But Shadow found a gap. Every Friday, Nasir visited a mosque alone. Shadow cornered him in the alley one night. He didn't kill. He left behind a photograph of Baba's family, burned, broken. The judge collapsed in fear. The next day, he resigned and turned over boxes of evidence, documents, files, proof of corruption. Shadow didn't shed blood that night. He sparked justice. Part 7. The butcher of Basti Chowk. Ghaffar Kasai, the torturer. The one who had dragged a child from the closet and ended his life with a smile. He now ran a slaughterhouse and black market prison. Shadow infiltrated the filthy tunnels, reached the basement, and waited. When Ghaffar entered, the lights flickered. Shadow attacked. The screams that echoed that night didn't need translation. In the morning, locals found Ghaffar's body tied to the torture chair, with a child's toy car in his mouth. No one claimed it, but they whispered. A dog brought justice. Part 8. The twin snakes. Sameer and Adil Seth, Rehan's twin nephews. They had ordered the fire, filmed it, laughed while it burned. They lived in a fortress near the Ravi River. Shadow waited for weeks, then struck. Adil was dragged into a pool and drowned during a foggy party night. A rose was found in his mouth. Sameer went mad with fear. He locked himself in, doubled security, but Shadow didn't kill him quickly. He haunted him, left paw prints, whispered presence. When Sameer tried to flee in a convoy, Shadow struck from above. The SUV crashed. Sameer was found mauled. In his jacket was a note. The dog has become the law. Part 9. The fall of the Butcher King. Only 5 remained. The bodyguards, the inspector, and the king. Shadow returned to the city. He took down Rehan's guards silently. exposed the corrupt police officer by leaking evidence. And finally, he reached Rehan's compound through a flooded tunnel during a storm. The last confrontation. Rehan sat trembling, gun shaking. "You're just a dog," he screamed. Shadow didn't rush. He walked. Every step was a memory. When the final blow came, Rehan's screams were lost in thunder. The empire of blood was no more. Part 10. The return home. Shadow limped home. He returned to the cabin. But Baba Hameed was gone. Sitting in his chair, peaceful, waiting. On the table was a journal. The final words. "I knew you would return. My son. My loyal one." Shadow didn't howl. He lay at his master's feet. And never left again. They buried Baba under the apple tree. Villagers carved into stone, "Here lies the man who loved without fear. And the dog who never forgot." Shadow was never seen again. But people say, when darkness rises, a golden-eyed dog will return.